Assalamu alaikum. This is Mohammad Ramiz and you are watching Flutter Fluency. So in this video we are going to discuss about rows and column. So we are getting started in the widget series of our Flutterflow master series. So in the previous videos we have already covered all of the functionalities, integrations, the major integrations that we have in Flutterflow, just like we have integrated APIs in the previous video, and before the API we have also studied about setting tab, color tab. Then we have also discussed the custom function, custom widgets, custom actions, media, API calls. Then we discussed app state values and constants, page state values, data types. All of the topics we have already covered, and if you have not check out any specific topic, so you can just go back to check the playlist, where you will be able to see all of the videos that we have. So in this video we are getting started with the brand new series of widgets. Okay, so in this video we are gonna discuss about rows and columns. So in the upcoming videos you will be able to see all of the separate video on each of the specific widget, so that in this way we will be getting better understanding about a specific widget if we discuss each widget in a separate video. Okay, so let's jump into it. So let's suppose this is our page and here we want to add a row and column. But before let's start with the column. So let me drag and drop it here, so you can see that the column is now here like this. Okay, so I already have a column, so I'm gonna delete this thing. Or here you can see that I already have one column. Okay, so what I want is that if I want to stack the things top to the bottom or bottom to the top, so you can use uh, top to the bottom in a vertical manner, so you can use column widget. Okay, so let's suppose you want to show some kind of image, then you want to show name, and then you want to show email of a user. Okay, so here you can see that all of these things are stacked basically. But first of all we have an image, then we have a name, then we have an email. So these are stacked, so in a vertical manner. If you want to do in a vertical manner, so you must need to use column widget. Okay, so let's suppose I'm gonna let's suppose I'm gonna pick an image here, and I'm gonna pick an image here, and this image should have a smaller size maybe, and height should also be small. And okay, so let's suppose we have image, and then we also want to add a what we also want to add a text here. Okay, so here you can see that these are stacking top to the bottom. So if I duplicate this thing, control D, so it will stacking from top to bottom, no matters how much duplication I do. Here you can see control D, control D, control D, everything is coming in a vertical manner. Okay, so no matters how much you create. So let's suppose you have multiple items, you are creating many more duplicacy here. So let's suppose you have done many more duplicacy here, and now the page is filled. So what happened if you run this application? So it will crash your application, because here you can see the area, the column will take this amount of area, the green border area, but you are exceeding the limit of the column. So in this way there comes the property of column. So there are a lot of properties which I'm gonna teach you in this video. So we will be discussing it for sure. So if you have a lot of items in your column and you want the page not to crash, so you must need to do scrollable. So here you can see that this is scrollable and this is cross. So right now it's not scrollable, that's why it's overflowing and it's crossing the green border, which you can see here easily. But if you do scrollable, so here you can see that, so it's now hide and you can scroll it for sure. Here you can see I'm scrolling up and we have a scroller here as well. So that's how you can scroll your content as well. Okay, so let's suppose if you want to make this column to the center. So because the column is taking the only width which is the maximum width of the child that we have. So basically this is basically called as parent child relation. Okay, so the parent is column and parent column has multiple childs, and all of these are childs of column. Okay, so let's suppose if you want to make this thing to the center, so how can you achieve this thing? Obviously column only take the space that their child maximum have. Let's suppose if this image have 100 pixels of width, so it will be taking 100 pixels, column is taking 100 pixels of width. But if I'm gonna change it to 200, so now the column is taking 200 pixels of max width. Okay, so it's basically depend upon the child width. Okay, column does not have itself does not have any width and height. Okay, so it's up to you how can you manage these things. So let's suppose if you want to center all of these things in the middle of the screen, just like so we can say, so how can you do these things? So let me wrap this image to the second widget that we have under discussion in this video, which is row. So I'm gonna wrap this widget with row. So now you can see that, because row is taking the whole width. Okay, row itself does not have any specific height. Okay, so row takes the height that their child have basically. Okay, so let's suppose the image have a height of 200 100, so row height is also 100. So if I change this height to 300, so now you can see that the row height is 300. I'm going to reverse it, and now the question is that now we want to make this thing center in the row. So here comes the property of row, which is basically main axis alignment. So we have axis alignments in row and column as well. So let's discuss in row first. Okay, so here you can see that right now all the elements that we have is from leftmost side. So the image all the childs that the row have is on left side. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this image just for the reference, and I'm gonna drag this widget and drop it into the row. Okay, so now you can see that row so now you can see that the height is smaller because it will be taking row is taking the same height that the text has. So let me add one more text into the row, because it's row. So it will take all the widgets into the horizontal axis. So now you can see that these are side by side, very close to each other. Okay, so how so let's discuss the axis alignments. Okay, so here you can see that this is right now the leftmost set. That's why both widgets are left aligned, and if we move towards right align, so it will be switched towards right align. Now these two widgets are right aligned, and if we make into the center, so we are going to use this value. Okay, so now it's centered, but we don't think it's look good right there. So let's see if we want one widget on left side and one widget on right side. So how can we do this thing? So you can use space between. So this is called as space between. So if I click here, so you can see that both widgets are opposite side, and on the center there we have all the space. And if you want that, okay, it's fine, but I don't want that widget to be attached to the wall of the leftmost side and rightmost side. There must be a space here on the left side, then the widget, then the whole width would be on the center, then the other widget, and there we also have some kind of space. So how can we do this thing? So if we want to do this thing, so we are going to use the space evenly. So here you can see it's also telling you, so it will be relieving the space from the left side, then you have your widget, then the space, then widget, then space. Okay, so if I click here, so now you can see that, so now we have even space mean equal space on each side. So let's suppose if you have the space of 200 pixels of space from here, so their space would also be 200, and their space also be 200. Okay, so yeah, that's how you can manage your thing. And yeah, so let's talk about this one. So here you can see that space around. So this what this thing can do. So the space around can not add equal space on each side. It will add a little bit of space from left side and little bits of space from right side, and most of the space goes to the center. Okay, so if you want to do this kind of thing, so you can also use, and you can play around the main axis alignment to change your change your row behavior. Okay, so this is the thing you can do. And let's suppose if you want to, so basically cross axis alignment is all about the vertical alignment of the childs that the row have. Okay, so right now the all of these text in the row widget, these are centered align in the row. So it's basically it's basically in centered, okay, not touching the upper wall of row and not touching the bottom wall of row. But if we want that these text to be touch on upper wall of row, right, this will touch to the green border of green upper border. So how can we do this thing? So we can add to upside. Obviously you will not be able to see right now because the our row is right now taking the same space that we have in the in the text basically, okay. So that's why you will not be able to see this thing. So let's suppose uh, let's suppose if we want to uh, okay, so let's suppose if we want to increase the size of this thing, let's suppose 18, and now you will be able to better able to see. So you can see that this size is bigger and this size is smaller, but now this text is attached with the upper wall. But if I click to the center, so it will shift to the center now, okay. And if I click on bottom, so it will now shift to the bottom. So that's how it's managing in a vertical way, okay. So you can manage your cross axis alignment if you want if you want a vertical way, okay. So obviously you will not be able to use this kind of thing, which thing, so this thing, because this is basically a we can say that it's basically scrollable kind of feature. So row does not have a scrollable feature, so that's why you will not be able to add this feature for this specific case. But if you wrap this row with a container and fix the specific height, okay, in that way you will obviously be able to use this kind of spacing, okay. So now the think left is that how can we scroll this row into the left and right side, okay. So if you want, you can simply click to the allow scrolling, but remember you will not be able to see these kind of spacing if I click here. So let's see, if I click here, so now you can see that it's all attached to the leftmost side. Why? Because now the row is not taking the whole width of the page, so it depends upon the number of child. So let's suppose if I'm gonna duplicate multiple time, so let's see, if I'm gonna duplicate multiple times, and now if I click to the row, if I select the row, okay, so here and here, so now I'm able to scroll it. So you can see that now I'm able to scroll it. But if I disable this feature, so I'll not be able to scroll it. So you can see that I'm not able to scroll it. Even this behavior will throw an error crash when we run this application, okay. So that's how the row we can manage the row. The same case applies to the column as well, okay. What I mean is that so you can move upward and downward, obviously upside and downside, by attaching changing these behaviors. So we can also see these things. So basically this is moving all things up, and this is moving centered, and this is moving all things on bottommost side. So let's suppose I'm gonna remove all the things and I just wanted to add one row here, sorry, one column here, and in the column section I'm gonna add my text, and I'm gonna duplicate my text. So only the two that text. So now we can see the behavior. So you can see that it's on top. So now both of these are on top. If I'm gonna make it center, so it's now centered, okay. So if I'm gonna do it bottom, so it's bottom, and it's evenly, and it's basically space around, okay. So which means that these two spaces are always less than the center space, and that make on space between, okay. So you can also manage the cross axis alignment, the thing which I was talking about. So it's all about the spacing from here. So let's suppose if I'm gonna do the same thing here. So maybe I'm gonna make the size to this. So now you can see that as it's it is left aligned, so that's why both of these are left aligned. But if I'm gonna make it centered, so now you can see that obviously this size is the same, so that's why it's the same in this case. But here you can see it's now centered. But if I'm gonna do to the leftmost side, so now it's leftmost side, okay. So all the childs that have the less size will move and will depend upon the cross axis alignment, obviously in the case of column, okay. So yeah, that's how we can manage. And scrollable is also there, and these are the really important features you must need to know that will make your app very beautiful. So let's go back to the previous design that we have. So we have this design. So let's suppose I'm gonna remove some of the widgets and make it small. less widget. Okay, so now we have this column, but it is not looking good, it is not looking very good, because these are very merged with each other. So how can we add padding on each side? Should we need to add padding on each text like this, 12 and 12? No, we don't need, because we are using column. So column has their own built-in property you must need to know and use in your project. Okay, so if you go down, so you can see that item spacing, so you need to add item spacing here only. So if I'm gonna add 12 pixels, so it will add the padding on each widget that we have, that the column have. So let me add 12. So now you can see that, so it will add the spacing or padding across each child the column have. Okay, and if we want to attach, but there is a one thing, even though we have a spacing on across all the widget, but what about the first widget does not have any spacing, it's already attached with the uppermost side. So how can we add the spacing on the upper side and obviously on the bottom side as well, because it is also attached with the basically the floor of the app. Right now you will not be able to see because our space area is open. So if I'm gonna disable my space area, now you can see that it's attached with the bottom. We don't want that. The upper side must be having a space and bottom side must having a space. So you need to add the start spacing and end spacing here. So, and you can also apply the same start and spacing and end spacing on both sides. Right now I want to add the same spacing, so I'm going to enable this function. So now the item spacing size is the same. So let's see how alignments look like. So if you want to make it to the center, so you can simply click to the alignment. You can also move your column towards the center of the page, so now it's centered. See that, let's suppose if you have an image in your parent column and parent column, here you can see the scrollable is disabled, which means that if you want that when you scroll the screen, so you don't want to that image to be move up. Image will stay there and rest of the children's will move up. So here you can see I just make my parent column to not scrollable and my child column to scrollable, and it is primary scrolling means that, yeah, this is the main scrolling. If you have any other scrolling, so you can forget that scrolling, because this is primary scrolling and you need to scroll it here. So if I'm gonna scroll it for now, so I'm gonna scroll, make it scrollable. So here you can see it's scrolling image, it's moving image up. We don't need to move the image up, so that's why we need to have a scrolling fixed. And now what we need to do, if we want that this column to be scroll in this specific area, so there must be a need of one more widget, which is container. So we are gonna wrap this column with a container, and now we are gonna we are gonna give the container expansion to expand across the screen. So now we are expanding the screen. Now we will be able to scroll. Here you can see, now we will be able to scroll our these childs only, and this image is stuck here. Okay, so in the future video you will be able to learn a lot of things. I have a lot of things that I want to share with you, so I'll not be leaving any specific topic. We will be discussing about Supabase, Firebase, Jano. Okay, then we will be covering the topics of VWeb. Then we will be start learning about bubble.io. So there are a lot of technologies that I want to share with you. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you into the next one.